Hey guys, Charlie Murphy here. Thank you for choosing my video, playing a session of 2-5 No Limit 6 Max games on Ignition. Lower right-hand table, blind on blind. We face a 3x open. We'll go ahead and defend for a call with King 5 suited. And an Ace-Ace-King two-tone board against a small bet. I'll go ahead and defend for a call. Look to check back the turn if he checks to me. And against that small bet on the river, I'm just going to go ahead and call with my second pair. We're chopping against another king. Upper right-hand table, got a 3x open from the cutoff. We'll go ahead and 3-bet from the button with ace-jack offsuit. I have about a 12% 3-bet range in this formation against that size. I have 3-bet that player a couple of times before the recording started and stacked him in an early formation with kings against jacks when he 4-bet me. Upper left-hand table, got a 2x open from the cutoff. I'm in the small blind. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet with my pocket jacks. 3-bet about 11% here in this situation. Lower right-hand table, I'll open the button with ace-6 suited using a 44% range. Get 3-bet by the big blind, about 4.5x. And the regs are a little more passive than they're supposed to be from this spot, so you can go ahead and make an exploitive, slightly tight fold. It's pretty close and could continue. I think I like fold a bit better. This guy hasn't 3-bet yet, though we've only played a couple orbits. That doesn't mean much of anything. But against the pool, I think fold's a little better than call. Upper left-hand table, open king 6 suited from the cutoff, using a 28% range. And then the lower left-hand table, got a 2.5x open from the cutoff. I will defend my big blind with my offsuit broadways in that size and formation. And I'll check range to the pre-flop raiser on the 10-8-5 board. He checks back the flop. I'm going to go ahead and lead the turn small with my second pair. He can have a lot of ace-x in his range here, unfortunately, so it's not the best turn card once he checks back. River is 3 of hearts. It does close the flush. I've got second pair when you should have a lot of top pair. I'm trying to decide if there's any merit into check or to betting to try to get some value from a hand like king 8, pocket 9s. I think we'll probably be better off checking and try to show this one down, but there's some merit to merging. If I wasn't so suspicious his range is ace-x heavy, I think I might go ahead and bet that. Could also think about turning this into a raise here with that flush blocker. Not against the overbet, though. Just go ahead and check fold against that. I could be folding to some kind of spade draw or some hand that turns itself into a bluff there, but I think it's okay to fold. Upper left-hand table, got a 2.5x open from the button. I will go ahead and 3-bet from the small blind with my king-jack suited. 3-betting about 15% in that situation. We get called, get an ace-ace-jack rainbow board. I'll go ahead and range bet small. Lower left-hand table. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet out of the small blind against the cutoff open, essentially, with my ace-queen. Upper left-hand table, after the flop checks through, I'm just going to go ahead and stab for the minimum with my third pair and my flush draw. Against the 4-bet from the cutoff, though, with ace-queen, I can just go ahead and fold that. Upper right-hand table, I'll open 9-8 suited from middle position using a 21% range. This is towards the bottom of my opening range, one of the worst hands I'll bring in. When I get 3-bet in position, I'm just going to go ahead and fold it, especially against that size. It's definitely a bit on the large size. That's almost 4x size. Probably go about 40 in if I'm 3-betting from that particular spot against that size. Upper right-hand table, open ace-king offsuit under the gun using an 18% range. Called by a very loose passive recreational player in position. The blind comes along as well. I'll be checking range multi-way out of position to at least one player. Ugh. Flop checks through. Turn is a board pairing card, puts a backdoor flush draw up there, the 10 of diamonds. Get led into by the big blind player for about 2/3. I'll just go ahead and fold. I would have jabbed at that myself if it checked to me again with nobody else having shown any interest in the pot as of yet. Lower right-hand table, blind on blind, face a 3x open. I will go ahead and defend my king-queen offsuit. You could 3-bet this, though I prefer to call it. Either is going to be fine, though, as long as you don't fold. Upper left-hand table, the recreational player limps the cutoff. I will check my big blind in with king-deuce suited and check to him on the flop. I get bet about half pot. I've got a backdoor flush draw and overcards, good removal to the top pair. I'm going to go ahead and float that. Upper left-hand table, when he checks through, I'm going to go ahead and start stabbing with my top and bottom pair. He quickly calls. River is a bad card for me. The queen, board pairing card, counterfeits my two pair. I now have kings and queens with the kicker on the board. I'm going to go ahead and check this down. I prefer to either showdown for free or maybe snap off a bluff draw. He goes ahead and bets pot. Board pairing river for recreational players tends to be pretty bluffy. I don't block any of the bluffs. He could have queen X right here and be value towning me, but otherwise I'm in pretty decent shape, so I'm going to go ahead and hero call that. Upper left-hand table, get a min-raise open from the cutoff. I'll go ahead and 3-bet from the small blind with ace-queen suited, using about an 11% range. Get 4-bet. Pretty appropriate sizing for a 4-bet. I'm just going to go ahead and defend the 4-bet with a call here. I could trap with aces, maybe call with hands like jacks through nines and a couple of my suited Broadway cards, jam in my king's queen and my ace-king over the top. Check range on that flop. I have good removal to ace-king. This particular board, I can, let's see here, I don't really have any sets. I do have a few heart draws. I've got ace of hearts, ace-queen, ace-jack of hearts. I've got aces. I probably just want to be check calling with my continue hands here. I don't think I want to be check raising. I think I want to check call on the board like this. I'm going to go ahead and float with removal to the king and the backdoor flush draw. Upper right-hand table, we're going to go ahead and range bet small against the rec on the ace-queen-8 rainbow board. Now on the river, I can have aces, I can have king-queen, I can have pocket jacks. I'm just going to go ahead and try to move him off. I've got good removal to the king-high and aces type hands, so I'm just going to go ahead and jam this all in. Ran into a trap king-queen, which I think played pretty well on the turn. Pre-flop's a bit loose, but I'm going to go ahead and overbet with my top two pair against the rec on the upper right-hand table. He continues calling. I mean, I lose to hands like a set or the Broadway straight, but here I've got top two pair. He's a recreational player. I think I want to go ahead and try to get value. Just going to go ahead and jam him all in. And just hope he doesn't have Broadway on me. He's got ace-queen. We're chopping. And on that 4-bet pot, ace-queen with the flush draw or backdoor flush draw are really my only bluffs I get to the river with. You know, I can also have some my unpaired cards pre-flop are ace-queen, ace-jack, king-queen. King-queen, of course, is top pair. Ace-jack made a pair on the river, so ace-queen is my worst hand. Ace-queen of hearts or ace-queen of spades. I think that bluff is very justifiable. I did stumble into a set of jacks on that river, and I do also have trapped ace-ace as well pre-flop. So I've got plenty of value there. So it may look a bit spazzy, but I think my range is protected in that particular line as played. Recreational player limps, small blind completes. Going to go ahead and isolate out of the blinds with about a 12% range. And against the 2.5x button up, I'm going to go ahead and defend my big blind on the lower left-hand table. He goes and bets very small on the button. I can probably check raise here as a bluff. I guess the 5 I can still barrel on. This is a little bit loose to be check raise bluffing, but the small bet on the button, I think that's a pretty reasonable thing to do. Upper right-hand table, multi-way, I'm just going to go ahead and check range in position or out of position. Flop was pretty decent for me. Turn, not necessarily so great, but I'm going to go ahead and start jabbing at that turn small with my 9s. Look to start to 9 some equity. I can check back on the river if this guy calls me unless I fill up with a 9. Huh, and we do. Lower left-hand table, going to go ahead and open blind down blind with 7-6 suited, using about a 45% range. Given that I don't think a 10 ever folds, a straight ever folds, and even the Queen X might hero me, I'm going to go ahead and use a very large size for value. I'm going to go ahead and 2x pot this. Lower left-hand table, my blind down blind open got 3-bet 3x. I'm going to go ahead and defend against this very loose 3-bet range here with all kinds of hands, including my suited connectors like 6-7 suited. Got a pair and a gut shot. Can play this pretty aggressively if he bets the flop. Bets half pot. And go ahead and check raise this up. Plan to jam the turn. Ran into a flop straight. C'est la vie. Not running so well in the 3 and 4 bet pots. Lower left-hand table, open Jack 4 suited on the button, using a 44% range. Lower right-hand table, blind down blind, he limps. I check behind with 4-3. On the flop after he checks, I'll go ahead and stab the minimum on that 9-5-5 two-tone board. Turn is the king of clubs. I have a low club. I'm going to go ahead and bet this, and I will check back on the river if I make a weak 4 flush. We'll continue barreling. If he check calls. Against the raise, I'll just get out of the way. Had he check called, I would have tried to barrel off a blank river as well. Under the gun opens, or middle position, I'm sorry, opens 3x. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet with king, queen suited of the small blind, using about an 8% range. Quickly calls, get a queen 10-6 rainbow board. I'm going to go ahead and range bet small. Turn is the ace of hearts. I can have aces, queens, tens for the three top sets. I can also have king queen suited for the nut straight, or I'm sorry, king jack suited. King queen's going to just go ahead and be a check with second pair in the gut shot. Can also have various hands like ace king, ace jack. It can be in the check call line. Unless I really think this guy in an early position is turning a hand like jacks into a bluff, which I don't really think he's going to do that enough to justify. I'm going to go ahead and get out of the way early. Terrible turn card for me. Upper right-hand table, got a 2.5x open for middle position. A recreational player calls in middle position after under the gun opens. I'm going to go ahead and squeeze with my ace-queen. Get called in both spots, out of position to two players. I'll be checking range on that king 9-4 two-tone board. Lower right-hand table, cutoff player limps. I isolate from the button with something like my cutoff open range, about 28%. I'm just going to go ahead and check fold ace-queen high against that half-pot bet multi-way in the upper right-hand table. Go ahead and range bet small on the lower right-hand table after the player limp calls. He min raises me, and I just don't believe a min raise from a recreational player is all that weak or fishy, and I don't have a very good hand to float with without any real backdoors. I'll go ahead and fold. Seems a little weak against the small size, but I just don't think I can really move guys off of hands after that small check raise later on. Lower right-hand table, open aces in middle position using the 21% range. Get called by the big blind who checks to me on a 6-4-3 two-tone. I'll go ahead and range bet small. Quickly calls. Turn is a jack. I'm going to start using the overbet or check sizing here on this particular turn texture. Aces is a great hand to overbet. We'll go ahead and use the overbet there. Calls. River, pretty nice blank 9. I'm going to go ahead and try to get some value, use a more standard 2/3 type size, about 70%. Go ahead and put that bet in with the aces. Get hero called, probably by a hand like Jack X of clubs. But let's see. King Jack offsuit with the Jack of clubs, 1 clubs. He shouldn't have floated the flop, but I guess on the turn he's kind of stuck. Lower right-hand table, open queens under the gun using an 18% range. Upper right-hand table facing a 2.5x button open. I will defend my big blind with king 4 suited. Get called in position and by both blinds with the pocket queens in the lower right-hand table on the ace-6 deuce rainbow board. I'll be checking range on that board. Upper left-hand table, he did not continuation bet the flop. I'm going to go ahead and start probing at the turn. Plan to follow through on the river. We got a 4-straight run out. Going to go ahead and use my pot size bet here as a bluff. Lower right-hand table, get a recreational player who min bets 5 into 47.50. I will call with my queens against that. Let me get the king-4 bluff through. And against that min bet, I'll just go ahead and call with the queens again. Against a weak ace, but not folding a hand like queens with those kind of odds there, pretty much ever. Lower left-hand table, going to open ace-queen on the blind down blind spot using a 45% range. Upper right-hand table, going to open ace-jack under the gun using an 18% range. Lower left-hand table, open kings from middle position using a 21% range. Upper right-hand table, cut off 2.5x open. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet from the big blind with queen 9 suited, using about a 10% range. This guy's been a bit nitty. I didn't realize that right off the bat. Probably want to be a little bit tighter pre-flop. Queen 9 suited still pretty close, though. I'm going to go ahead and range bet him small on the Jack 5-4 two-tone board. Hearts or a 10 is a good card for me, as is a queen. Some other weaker draw cards as well possible. Hands like a king, cards like a king or an 8. Deuce is a total blank, however, so I'm just going to go ahead and check. He goes ahead and checks back. I've got queen high. I can't give up and show that down. I'm going to go ahead and put in another bluff and try to move him off something. Not going to move him off a jack pretty much ever, but busted draws, ace high, mid pairs, those kind of hands could all be moved off potentially. Lower left-hand table, 2.5x open from the button. I will defend my big blind with king 10 offsuit. Flop checks through, so I'll start probing the turn small. He raises all in over the top. He could easily have a hand like pocket 10s. I've got queen high, so nothing to do but go ahead and fold when he moves me all in. River is the queen. This actually is a pretty good card for the overbet bluff because I have a good removal of the top pair and I block the straight. You could overbet and I don't block the flush draw type hand. So I think I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to use the smaller size, but that's a reasonable spot to overbet bluff as well. This might be a 4-bet bluff spot right here. I'm going to stack off with pocket tens or better and ace king. I'm going to open the button on the upper right and lower left-hand table using about a 44% range. Should have maybe made this a little bit bigger, but I think it's okay. Get a queen 8-4 two-tone board. Going to go ahead and range bet small. He calls. Turn is a fairly blank card. He shouldn't have too much 8x in his range. I am going to go ahead and check with my fairly weak top pair. I can have queens full. I can have the overpairs. I can have a bunch of different top pair, ace, queen, queen, jack, even some queen 10. He goes ahead and checks. I think I'm going to go ahead and try to get some value in here with my top pair. He really shouldn't have too much in the way of backdoor diamonds or full houses here. Trying to get value from a hand like pocket tens, pocket nines, pocket jacks. Upper right-hand table, open aces under the gun using an 18% range. Same range on the lower right-hand table with queen jack suited. Check range to that in position player. He checks back. I'm going to go ahead and start probing the turn small. I do have an overpair and the ace of diamonds on that 3-flush board. Not a bad river. Not too likely he has too many fours. I'm going to go ahead and try to get some additional value with my aces. Lower right-hand table, going to go ahead and range bet small on that king 7-6 rainbow flop after the big blind defends and checks the flop. Get a 3x open blind on blind in the upper left-hand table. Going to go ahead and use ace-5 suited as one of my 3-bet combos. You could also call it as well, but you have to mix in a few of the 3-bets. Go ahead and check back that turn, having not picked up any additional equity on the lower right-hand table. Though I guess I don't really have too much in the way of 8x. I just got some 9x gut shots I can use. Otherwise, I've got to just look for removal. The top pair is my bluffs, in which case king-queen is not a bad turn barrel. I think checking it back is also fine. On the river, we don't want to be showing down queen high, though, so I'm going to go ahead and put in that bluff. I'll call that min bet with that weak pair one time. Folds the second barrel, though, with queen 3. Upper left-hand table, open ace-jack on the button using a 44% range. Three X open. I'm going to go ahead and call and get in this pot with a couple of fishy type players on the lower right-hand table. I'm going to go ahead and range bet small in the ace-queen 6 two-tone board in the upper left-hand table, button versus big blind. Min raised from a tight nitty player under the gun. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet in position with my jacks on the upper right-hand table. 3-betting about 9%, maybe a little lighter because he's so tight. Still want to be 3-betting the jacks, though. Get limps from the cutoff and button. I'm going to go ahead and complete the small blind with ace-4 suited. Nice flop with top pair and a nut flush draw. I'll go ahead and check range out of the small blind. Against that min bet, I'll just go ahead and call. Great turn card for me. Continue checking in flow. Again, min bets. I'm going to go ahead and just raise this up and look to start getting some money in with my nut flush. I'm going to go ahead and just repot it. And then we got a couple of overcallers there. This guy, he check calls. I mean, there's not really too many boats out there. I mean, I guess deuces and fives could be out there. But I could also be against weaker flushes. Trying to figure out what I want to do size-wise. Very interesting spot. I'll go ahead and check. Let this guy try to bet if he has a made flush or a queen and look to get a raise in here. And he goes and he bets large, but he could be a fish. It's overvaluing a flush and will call off. I still think I want to be check jamming here. I mean, the only thing I really lose to are, I mean, he shouldn't really have too much ace queen, ace five, ace deuce. I'm really only worried about those fives and deuces. I think I can get called off by all kinds of weaker flushes. I'm going to go ahead and check jam here. If I run into a boat, so be it. There we go. You can't be too scared of paying off absolute monster under the bed nut hands when there's plenty of second best hands that could, especially against fish, that can pay you off. He had 3-4. He had the straight. I wasn't even thinking about the straight. I was thinking about weaker flushes and full houses being out there. But there we go. Pick up a stack that I might not have otherwise gotten. I wouldn't have otherwise gotten if I didn't check raise all in. Upper left-hand table under the gun player opens 2.5x. I will go ahead and 3-bet from the button with my ace-king suited, using about an 8% range, 8 to 9%, something like that. Lower right-hand table, open king-queen offsuit from middle position, using a 21% range. Calls, we get in a Jack 10-4 rainbow board. Going to go ahead and put in the small range bet. Maybe barreling off in this particular spot here, just with good removal of the top pairs and over pairs, and that a lot of equity with the overcards and the gut shot to the nuts. Lower right-hand table on the Ace-7-5 rainbow board, I've got two recreational players out of the blinds. I am in position, but I will not be range betting. I will be betting some hands small, but not range betting because we're multi-way. A hand like King, Queen high, the nut, no pair, I think is a with no real draw equity. You know, so there's no Broadway cards out there except for the ace. I'm just content to check that one back. Against a small turn lead, I'll just go ahead and fold. Lower left-hand table, blind down blind. I'll open Ace-7 using a 45% range. Upper right-hand table, open 7s under the gun using an 18% range. We can go ahead and tag this guy as a recreational player based on that size, and he's also got some limps on his record as well. Normally, I don't call three-ways out of position with, you know, mid to low pocket pairs, but against a fish who's min-raising me, and of course he's a fish because he's min-raising me, essentially, I'm going to go ahead and defend. We also have this guy overcalling here, which is probably not a great play under most circumstances. I'm going to call and look for that third 7. Don't see it, but got hell of a price to look for it. Flop checks through. I don't know that I'm supposed to be probing and bluffing off against a fish-type player in these spots, so I think I'm just going to play a bit more conservatively, but that might be the move. I'm just not sure of that. Get a 3x open on the cutoff. I'm on the button with ace-king offsuit, so I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet that using about a 12% range. Get called, get an 8-4-3 two-tone board. Going to go ahead and put in a small range bet. Get called. Turn is a 10. I think I'd probably be checking back here. I can have various flush draws to be bluffing with. I can even have, gut shots like Queen Jack. I don't really have Jack 9 pre-flop. I can have sets of 10s or 8s. I can have all the overpairs. I can have a lot of 10s as well. I think I want to limit my bluffs to my flush draws and my Queen Jack, perhaps. I think Ace King is going to play better in a check back line. Can maybe even bluff catch some rivers. I think I'll take the showdown here. Probably not a ton of value, but I think I'll take the showdown. No, I was against A7, so I was good up until that up until the river. This flop call is a little bit suspect. Lower left-hand table, going to go ahead and isolate the cutoff limper with 20 blinds. I'm going to use my pocket queens to do so, using something like my cutoff raise first in range, about 28%. He jams all in over the top. Queens is an easy call-off. Run into aces. And he flops aces full just to really hammer the point home. It's an unfortunate cold deck, but I'm happy to get queens in for 20 blinds against that guy. Upper right-hand table, going to open the button with 7-6 suited using a 44% range. Lower right-hand table, going to open Queen Jack suited for middle position using a 21% range. Everyone folds but the big blind, who checks to me on the Queen 9 deuce two-tone board. I'll go ahead and range bet him small. Turn is the king, offsuit king. Be using overbet or check. I can overbet my sets. I might trap with kings, but also be overbetting my nut straights like, not like, my only nut straight is going to be Jack 10. Probably overbet hands like King Queen, King 9 as well, maybe even Queen 9. Hand like Queen Jack is firmly going to be in the check back camp though. Can go for some thin value on the river or bluff catch. Can also have some weak kings to be value betting or bluff catching with on the river as well. Upper right hand table, going to open ace deuce suited from middle position. Very interesting that he overbets. He overbets large. Little over 2x. It's pretty close. It's a 3-bet. I'll fold the ace deuce suited. Let me see here. Board texture might make me a little bit suspicious that it's not so bluffy just because it's a triple Broadway board. It's pretty close. I'm going to hero call it. Interesting, you turn a hand like 5s into the overbet bluff. I don't think it's bad. I think it's probably pretty good. As you know, I planned to bluff catch rivers there until I faced that large bet, and he had me thinking about it. And I did think it was pretty close, even with, you know, I did not block any flushes and did flush draws that bricked, and I did block the straights. So I think the bluff is not bad. It just didn't get through. But he had me thinking about it, and almost worked. Lower left-hand table, Jack 8 offsuit pretty close for opening or not opening, blind on blind. Could go either way. It's right on the cusp. I opted to fold, but it's close. Upper left-hand table, going to open middle position with pocket 4s using a 21% range. Lower left-hand table, going to open Jack 9 on the button using a 44% range. Lower right-hand table, going to open ace 10 on the button, or cutoff rather, using a 28% range. Upper left-hand table, got a 2.5x open from the cutoff. The small blind comes along. Small blind's kind of a fishy player. I'm going to go ahead and defend my big blind here with the suited gapped card as well, especially since I'm closing the action. Be checking range on the flop. Lower left-hand table, a 3x open for middle position. You just go ahead and defend for a call from the big blind with pocket eights and check range on the flop. Upper left-hand table, 5 high, no draws on a monotone board is going to be an easy fold against that bet multi-way. Let's see here. Lower left-hand table, he goes ahead and bets small, bets about a third of pot on the 8-3 deuce two-tone board. I've got top set, going to go ahead and put in my check raise. Can do this with various flush draws, backdoor flush draws, straight draws, gut shots, as well as big hands like my flop sets. Lower right-hand table, recreational player limps under the gun. I'll be isolating him from the button with Jack-9 suited using something like my cutoff open range, about 28%. He limp calls. We get a 10-8-5 two-tone flop. I'll go ahead and range bet small. I do have the open ender to keep barreling with on most turn cards. But we don't get that far as he check folds. Upper left-hand table, get a 2.5x open from middle position. I will be defending the big blind with pocket sixes and checking range on the flop. Flop checks around on that limp pot on the upper right-hand table. I'm just going to go ahead and start stabbing for the minimum on the turn. Just a half pot. I think I'll go ahead and check fold that, but it's pretty close. River's the 8. I got 9 high. Just going to follow through and try to move them off. Weak pairs, busted draws, ace highs, any snap folds, probably some kind of busted draw. Get a 3x open for middle position. I'll go ahead and 3-bet pocket queens out of the small blind using about an 8% range here. Lower left-hand table, we'll get a 3x open from the cutoff. Got pocket nines in the small blind. Let's see what the button does before I make any decision, but I'm most likely going to be 3-betting this hand here. Yeah, against just the cutoff raise first in, I'll go ahead and 3-bet pocket nines. 3-betting about a 10% range in this particular formation against that size. Probably 8s or better, suited broadways. Ace queen, ace king, king queen, a few wheel aces, a few suited connectors. Go ahead and range bet them small on the queen 7-5 two-tone board. Interesting. Now, I'm not sure if this guy is a reg or a fish. Against a reg, I'd be looking to rejam over this on the light side with all sorts of draws. Against a fish, I'm going to be a bit more cautious, but more mergy for value. I'm not really quite sure where I'm at. I think it's okay to fold the nines, but that's a little bit suspicious. If I had top pair, I'd just be sticking it in. If I had a good draw, I'd just be sticking it in. Pocket nines, it's kind of close. I'm not quite sure, so I'm going to take the easy way out, take a little bit less variance, and fold it. Would consider jamming over the top. I just don't like jamming where if I'm behind, I'm pretty much drawing dead. I'm drawing very slim if I'm against the top pair. Lower right-hand table, going to open queens in middle position using a 21% range. Going to check King 7 in on the big blind. Got a couple recreational players limping in position, and the small blind completes. Get a King Jack 4 two-tone board. I'm going to go ahead and check range on the flop. Oh, he bets into me. He bets 15. I'm going to go ahead and call, but I'm not really all that happy about this, given it's a larger size in a multi-way pot, and I've got kind of a weak top pair. Turn is not bad. It doesn't really have any hands that were behind me improve. That said, if he goes ahead and bets pretty much any healthy size, again, I've got to get out of the way with the two players behind me and larger sizes being used in multi-way pots. He does not. I'm going to go ahead and start betting myself to get value from a jack or worse draws. I'm going to use a more appropriate, smaller size for the multi-way pot. Either get some value from worse hands or thin the ranks a little bit. Call twice. I think I just want to go ahead and check and hope these guys let me showdown for free at that point. No sense trying to get anybody to fold anything better. It looks pretty good so far. Against the better king, though. I would 3-bet typically against an under-the-gun open. Against that larger size, that changes the calculus very heavily. I'm going to 3-bet a lot tighter, and king-queen offsuit is going to move into the fold camp as opposed to the 3-bet camp because of that large size. I do think this is probably a weak player. But weak players can have good hands, too. I don't need to be getting king-queen offsuit into a bloated pot. See here, which hands do I want to be squeezing with? I'm going to pop it up pretty large, about 95. 40 out there. I think I can still raise fold ace jack. Just going to stack off with queens plus ace king. I get jammed back on. Hold it out the two regular type players. Open kings on the cutoff upper right-hand table. Lower left-hand table is a cold 4-bet or fold spot. I think that's a little bit too loose to do that with. We'll go ahead and 3-bet against the 3x open with the ace-5 suited. I'm going to go ahead and check raise my top set over here after a very small bet in position in the overcall. I'm going to go ahead and range bet small on the upper left-hand table. Got a gut shot, backdoor flush draw. Now, let's see here. I don't think I want to be barreling too light. I'm going to go ahead and check this ace-5. I'll bluff the river if he checks back. I'll check fold if he bets the turn. Not making a guy like that fold an overpair, and he is pretty tight. It's going to be so hard to get called off here. I think I want to use a small bet again. It's a potential squeeze spot. I'd squeeze up to call off with queens plus ace king. I think we can actually go ahead and put this in there, yeah. Go ahead and range bet him small here now on that king queen 5 two-tone board. Calls. Not the best turn card as it makes the flush possible. Do I want to check this back or do I want to jam it in? I think I'm going to check it back. And bluff catch. Yeah, there we go. Could also jam the turn there. On a blanker turn where I'm not worried about jamming into a possible flush, I think I might just go ahead and jam it in. You could also jam in even on that flush closer. It shouldn't be a huge part of his range. I was a little unsure what to do when that flush closing card hit, though. Such a weird spot pre-flop with the bloated pot and funky ranges because of that posting the larger size and then the larger squeeze size. Unusual scenario for sure. I'm going to go ahead and shut down the session here when the blinds come around to me again. Now open ace-queen on the upper right-hand table for middle position using the 21% range. Upper left-hand table, I'll fold the button against the with king 10 against that cutoff open. I'm going to go ahead and check range multi-way with at least one player in position to me on that ace-jack 4 two-tone board. I do have a good strong top pair. Recreational player stabs at it. I think I can go ahead and just treat this like the nuts and check raise and get him in here. I've got a short stack player over here too, so I'm not too worried about him. I've also check raised him earlier in that king spot. I think if he's got an ace, he's just not going to believe my bullshit anymore and call me down. So I think it's a fine time to be check raising the ace. He jams, insta jams. I want to get the money in. I'm happy to do so. He's got ace 7. He overplayed his ace like I thought he might, and I end up picking up a stack there. Pretty happy about that here on the way out the door. That's the last hand, so until next time, thank you for watching my video. This is Charlie Murphy signing off.